One of the things that I find very interesting about the knife community, the knife market, retail, resale, secondary market, is how closely it resembles the overall economy here in the United States. What's going on, guys? Carter here with Edged Mindset. We're going to be talking about a topic here. Now, let me preface this by saying, and I'm going to probably say this multiple times because I know I'm going to get a lot of comments on this. I don't have necessarily a preference on either side of the fence on this topic. I'm not for or against it. The reason I'm making this video is A, just to discuss and bring this topic to light, but also try to make people understand, like, very seldom in this world is there anything that's all upside. There's always a balance. Whenever something seems positive for you, it affects somebody else negative, and or it affects you negative just in a way you might not be able to tell. Now, that might sound kind of cryptic. We're going to dive into what the hell I'm talking about here in a second. So back to what I was saying with the knife community. It's kind of interesting. I've noticed this over the last few years. I would posit that you could potentially get a feel for what the overall economy is doing within the United States solely by paying attention to the knife market, how strong it is, what resale is like, how many people are picking up new things, how many new things are hitting the market. It could give you a sense of what is going on in the economy because it's a little micro world that exists within that larger world. And so unless you've been living under a rock, or maybe you're just not that into the community and into the knife owning, buying, selling, trading, which is fine, but it's been in a slump, right? So we have not been getting the activity in the knife community, and this includes new knife production. Resale value is falling through the floor. If you want to sell something that you have, like this combat Troodon here, this is what sparked this video. This is what made me think, you know what, maybe I'll make a video talking about this, and I'll go into detail about the story behind this knife here in a second. The knife community, the knife economy, let's say the knife economy. Community is not the right word. The knife economy has been in a slump, which mirrors kind of a lot of things in the country right now. Now, what I'm seeing a lot of in the forums and in the groups is people talking, buyers, about how great it is because knives are finally priced where they're supposed to be, right? Meaning they are seeing the deals, they are seeing the resale values at a position that they particularly like, right? So we're talking 50% off sometimes more, sometimes less, right? So over the last number of years, the knife economy has been booming, right? It's been very, very strong. It's not uncommon to see knives, pre-owned knives, on the secondary market going for retail or sometimes above retail price. That's made a lot of people upset. You know, there's been a lot of backlash on knife flippers, people that buy knives with the sole purpose of trying to make money on them, as well as people just not offering the discounts that other people think they should. Now, of course, just like any other capitalist setup, these prices are all driven by supply and demand, right? You are definitely not getting retail on a knife that you can still buy brand new at the store, and you certainly aren't going to make money on a knife that you can just go out and buy, right? So these are all knives that are high in demand, hard to get, sold out, or they have some sort of historical value, right? Collectability, something like that, and people are able to charge more than what some people think they should. So a lot of people have been talking about how great it is that prices are coming back to where they should be or what they think they should be, which is fine. I'm all for taking advantage when the market's down. That's what you do. Just like the stock market. Stock market's down, it's time to buy. My point, though, is I don't think a lot of these people realize that it's not all roses, right? Like, they may be riding high right now because they're able to score that combat Troodon for under $300, new in box. But it's not all good, right? There's a downside to it. And so, like I said, once again, I'm not saying that where we are in the knife market is bad. Definitely a time to take advantage of it if you're able to and pick up some pieces for good prices. You got to keep your eyes peeled. You got to be out there looking. They're going to sell quick if they're any good. But now is a good time to buy. I just want to open up the dialogue that it's not this amazing candy land, everything is great and right in the world for buyers, because there's a lot of negative things that are happening and will soon happen. And that's what I'm going to run through. So these are just for decoration. They're not really directly related to the video. We're going to talk about this combat Troodon here. So I had this for sale. I purchased this brand new, retail price. I think it was like $460 to my door, something like that. Just because the serration, they charge a little bit more for the full serration there. Now I wanted to move some microtext recently, so I put some up for sale. This one included. I was able to sell everything else except for this one. It kind of just sat there, didn't get a ton of interest. Now, let me caveat that. I didn't aggressively post this for sale. I put it in, I think, just one Facebook forum group, and I threw it on Blade forums, and then I think I made a post here on YouTube about it. So wasn't aggressively trying to sell it, but I did have it posted in multiple spots. I had it listed for, I think, $350. $100 off retail. In my opinion, when I listed it, I'm like, that's a pretty decent resale, right? Usually you have no problems selling just about any knife for $100 off retail. Obviously, the lower in price you go with knives, that $100 could be 50% of the value, and then it kind of changes. But basically, I was selling this for about 25% off. Still, not a lot of hits on this knife. Not a lot of people reaching out. I did have one individual on Facebook reach out to me. He really wanted this. He liked full serrated knives. He wanted to do some trading, and I just wasn't interested in that. I wanted the cash. That's why I was going to sell it. Cash is gold. That's what I was looking for, and I just didn't really care for any of the stuff he, wanted to trade, which is fine. But then he proceeded to offer me lower than what I was asking. I think around $300. To not get into specifics, I politely declined. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go that low. I basically said I'm sticking at $350. Because from my perspective, this knife has a certain monetary value to me. And I'm, my thought process is, for that much money, I'll just keep it. Like, I'm only going to sell it if it's worth my time. He came back a little while later and tried to do, the same thing. And I did lower down to like $335. He still didn't want to do that. He wanted to go even lower. And he was upset because he had sold a couple Combat Troodon Gen 3s for, I think, decently under $300, and so I could tell he was a little upset with me because he didn't feel I was offering this at the fair market value, which he thought it should be listed at. And I will agree, apparently, $300 is the fair market listing for this right now, somewhere around there, depending on, how badly somebody wants it or condition and all that stuff. But to me, I just didn't want to sell it that low. I'd rather just keep it, right? So I'm not obligated to, if I put something up for sale, I'm not obligated to list it at fair market value, and I'm not obligated to take whatever somebody's willing to give. It's well within my right to say, $300, I'd rather just keep it. It's worth more to me right now than letting it go for that low. But that got me thinking about not so much him, right? I mean, that's fine, right? That's what wheeling and dealing is. You try to get the value that you're willing to pay, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The point, what sparked this video isn't his behavior or responses, it's mine. It's what I did, which was pull this off of the market. And that is that's a good indication of what I'm talking about here. That fits in with what I'm talking about here, which is basically in times of poor resale and poor knife market performance, you will see some deals pop up, and you'll see some knives go for way lower than what they were 6 months ago, and it's going to seem awesome. But you're also going to see way less things posted because there's a lot of people like me who are like, it's not worth it to sell things in this market because this knife is worth more to me than I would get on the market. And so they're going to pull these items. So you're going to see way less things on the secondary market. And that also fits in with the chain of events that happen when the market kind of contracts like this, because this is going to bubble all the way up to the top, right? Resellers are going to sell less knives. That's going to send a signal to the companies to produce less knives. It's also going to send a signal to the companies, we need to tighten up what we're offering. Stop doing crazy designs, stop doing anything innovative, shrink down to the core sellers, because we are kind of in a holding mode. So yes, when the market kind of goes down like this and you see some of those deals of knives and you get to save some money on those, that's great. That is great. I'm not arguing that. Just keep in mind, there's other ramifications. You're going to see way less things for sale. You're going to see way less interesting things being made. You're going to see less activity overall in the community, less people participating. Smaller companies could potentially fold up. You know, some of these cool little innovative companies that are taking chances with designs, now is the time that they really start to struggle because people are not buying them like they used to, and they were probably running pretty slow, pretty low on the margins as it is. Now is the time that, really the big boys are the only ones that are kind of moving forward. So it's not all good. And that's the point I want to make to the video. You know, like when you are posting in these comments about how great it is that the secondary market is where it should be, keep in mind that for every dollar you save, somebody else is losing that dollar and somebody else is upset. Just like it was when it was flipped, you know, when it was the seller's market and they were making money. They need to keep in mind that people are spending more money than really they should on those items, and that will be a loss later on. Comment down below, have you noticed these sort of things as you are looking at knives? Have you noticed kind of a slowdown of cool stuff and really strong pieces showing up? Because I certainly have. And I keep my eye on all different ranges of knives, high level, USA made, overseas, niche knives, automatics, and across the board, it's pretty consistent. I'm just not seeing those bangers show up anymore. I'm seeing some deals on regular knives, you know, like let's say an XM18 3.5 stonewash, seeing some great deals on stuff like that. But in terms of like the really cool, interesting pieces, unique pieces, rare pieces, people are holding them because it's not worth it to them, for a lot of them, to sell that item. Now, I'm not saying none of those show up. They absolutely do, but they get snatched up pretty dang quick for people that are paying attention, which is what you have to do to get the really good stuff in a market like this. And people are less likely to sell some of these cool pieces at a deal because they also know they're not going to be able to as easily roll that money into the rare piece they're looking for. And so everybody's kind of contracting into a holding pattern, retail and personal sales and things like that. So does this make any sense? And like I said, the point of this isn't like to get you to switch and say, oh, I guess I should be mad. By all means, be happy you can get deals. Just keep in mind, it's not all upside. Like, people are losing on the other side, and it's affecting the knife market negatively as a whole. If you are somebody that wants to be in the knife community, this kind of stuff, you know, it affects growth and progress and cool stuff and innovation for the next number of years until things kind of flip around. And this also kind of mirrors what we're seeing in other arenas too. Cars and, you know, everything, electronics, it all gets affected in a very similar way. All of these physical goods, as well as media, things like that. Anyways, all right, I'm done rambling. Comment down below. What are your thoughts? As always, thank you so much for your support. Couldn't do this without you, and I wouldn't want to. Anyways, all right, guys, talk to you later.